So failure is extremely difficult. It was extremely difficult for me and my family, but it ended up doing very well because I took that learning that I did. I did not sit back and cry about it and say, I'm not going to come back. I came back stronger than ever because I knew there was other opportunities out there. You have to separate work and personal life or you're going to destroy yourself. Dealing with stress at work is not going home and drinking. Dealing stress at work is not coming home and being angry at your wife and your kids. That is not stress management. If you need professional help to go get rid of stress, you need to do that because the business will destroy you. Welcome to the Standby Generator Podcast, brought to you by Power Alliance. I'm your host, Jim Swetman. Together, we will dive into the world of the standby power business, offering expert insights, industry trends, and actionable strategies to help you grow and scale your generator business. Whether you're looking to optimize your operations, increase profitability, or stay ahead of the curve, this podcast is your go-to resource. So grab a seat and let's power up your business for success. Hi, this is Jim Swetman. Welcome to another podcast. I'm Jim Swetman, your host. And today what I wanted to talk about is learning from failures. This is going to be a good one to listen to. I'm going to tell my story of one of the businesses that I was with that had failed, but what I had learned from that failure. Back in the mid-90s, I had an opportunity to start up a new telecom company. And with that, I had some partners with me that were helping to finance the operation. And we were involved in DSL turn-ups for a large telecom company up here in the Northeast. And great opportunity. That's when the telecom market was going crazy. It was, remember, the new economy. A lot of young people here, they don't know about that. But it was very exciting and grew the company. I had over 75 employees in 5 different states. And things were going very well until the whole telecom market crashed in 2000. I was part of that crash. I was living that crash. And I learned a whole lot. I learned a whole lot about business. I learned a whole lot about people. And I said to myself, if I ever had the opportunity to own a business, boy, oh boy, would I do things differently. Let me give some examples of what happened and part of the failure and what I learned from that. Part of the failure of that company, really, we grew too big, too fast. We had one division that was set just on engineering and designing of telecom systems. Division 17 specifically, that's when it was first starting in the AIA documents. And we were spearheading the campaign and actually involved with engineering and of the Division 17 code. But what happened with that is we got involved with doing the telecom installations. We got involved in doing fiber optic overbuilds on telephone poles, miles and miles of that. So we had 3 different divisions to the company. And if we had just stuck to managing all the data telecom operations and engineering, we wouldn't have gotten in trouble and end up going out of business. So the first thing that was contributed to that failure was growing too big and too fast and diversifying from our core business plan. The second thing that I learned personally from that failure of that business, and it was a multi-million-dollar business, I was head of that company with partners behind me and financing people behind me, is I learned a lot about people. I learned about trust. I learned that some people that I trusted, that I had intimate conversations with business-wise, ended up going behind my back and stabbing me in the back when things really got bad. So I learned about trust. I learned about business partners and trusting and things like that. I had no problem with my partners and trusting them. There was no issue. But I had some problems with some of the employees that I had trusted. So I learned about that. And I said to myself, you know what? After everything ended, I said, if I had a chance to do it all over again, I'm going to do one thing only. And I'm going to be the best in just doing that one thing. I didn't know what it was. So in 2000, just before 9/11 happened in September 2001, so just after 2000, I was let go. And, I had 3 little girls. I had a mortgage payment as big as the office that you're sitting in. And I had to pull myself up from the bootstraps and find out how I'm going to make this thing happen, how I'm going to be able to support my family. So what I did is I started a standby generator company. And what I did is I was doing it just as a side job, just to bring in money. And back in 2000, 2001, everybody and their brother was doing standby generators. We had chimney companies, water companies, of course, the electrical contractors, which is fine. That's a natural fit. But we had everybody and their brother that was doing standby generators. The only issue with all those people doing standby generators is they were doing them as a supplement to their company. It wasn't their core business. I just came out of a company that failed because they were doing 3 or 4 different things, and they weren't just doing standby generators as their only business. So I started a company, and the only thing I concentrated on doing was automatic standby generators. So I focused everything that I had learned from business owner, from being in sales, from being an electrician in the field for 10 years, having my master's license. I took all of that information working for a large construction management company, learning about process and procedures, working at a big company, doing other things. I pulled all that together and I said, I'm going to do standby generators, and that's all that I'm going to do. So I made sure when I started the company that I knew everything that had to happen about standby generators as far as industry trends. Where did they come from? How did they work? What are people buying? Knew how to start a company. And I also wanted to start this company without partners. That's another thing that I learned in that business failure is, again, I had no problem with my partners. It was really the industry that collapsed, the telecom industry. But I knew that it would be easier to make decisions if I was just my own owner of the company. So I had no partners. So that's something that I started as well, as made sure that I would not have partners. That doesn't mean you can't have people consulting with you. That doesn't mean that you can't have a board of directors that can help you out. But I was really stuck to make sure that ownership was just going to be under my name. What I also learned is about making sure that when there were tough business decisions to be made, that I made those decisions myself. I would ask in general terms to some of the employees in the company about, what direction, but I made sure that I did not ever confine in some specific things, that I made those decisions myself and I stuck with those decisions. So those are just some things that I learned about business failure and about, quite frankly, how the standby generator company that I ran became extremely successful. I also learned from that business failure is that you have to have documented process and procedures in place about everything that you do. Every step that you take has to be documented and written down and policed, and make sure that you're following up as a business owner to make sure that those things are done. So business failure, it was absolutely horrible for me. I grew that company with help from the partners. I grew that company. I hired, but I tell you what, when you've got to fire people and you have to call them into your office and fire them because your business is shrinking and you have grown men crying in front of you about what they're going to do, it really, really hardens you as a business owner and makes you think about things, and you never forget those things. So failure is extremely difficult. It was extremely difficult for me and my family, but it ended up doing very well because I took that learning that I did. I did not sit back and cry about it and say, I'm not going to come back. I came back stronger than ever because I knew there was other opportunities out there. I knew from what I learned that I could take that experience and do something with it. And that's exactly what I did. So business failures are tough, but you can take those, turn them around, and make them a positive for yourself. One other thing I just want to talk about here too is, and I've had dealers come to me and say this, stress management. Obviously, running a standby power dealer is extremely stressful. And I don't care if it's just 2 or 3 guys that you have, 30 guys, 60 guys, employees that you have working for you. It is extremely stressful. And how do we deal with stress? Well, there's a lot of ways to deal with it. I'm just going to tell you some of the things that I did in dealing with stress. One of the things that I learned is that every day when you come into that office, there's going to be issues. There's going to be things that happen that are not under your control whatsoever. It really comes down to the way that you handle the things that are out of your control. And you're going to find out through the years that those things end up being pretty small and pretty petty things. There's a lot of examples to make that happen. And some of the other companies that I worked for, when there were issues, they were $1 million issues. They were multi-million-dollar issues that I was dealing with in one of the other companies that I had worked for. And so working in the standby power dealer, say that you have a bad installation, you have a customer that complains about that installation, that's $10,000. That's not a lot to be worried about, knowing your experience that you've dealt with multi-million-dollar issues. So take everything in perspective. Also, stress management, you have to learn to build a wall between business and your personal life. And I use the example of being like a doctor. You're a doctor that's doing surgery, and you have a patient that dies on the table. You've done everything that you can do, and all the knowledge that you have and all the tools that you have and all the people around you in that operating room to bring that patient back to life, and the patient has passed away. How do doctors deal with that? Doctors build a mental wall between work and personal life. and I learned to deal and put that wall up. So you have to separate work and personal life, or you're going to destroy yourself. Dealing with stress at work is not going home and drinking. Dealing stress at work is not coming home and being angry at your wife and your kids. That is not stress management. You have to learn to deal with stress, and everybody does it in a different way. You have to have a way to get rid of that stress. Whether it's, and my way to get rid of it is I started doing high performance driving. And that was a great stress management for me, that I was able to take what I was doing out in the office and taking it out onto the racetrack. And if you want to have fun, if you want to get rid of stress, boy, oh boy, you go around the racetrack at 155 miles an hour, and that really focuses yourself to get rid of it. So you have to have a hobby. You have to have something that relaxes you to get rid of that stress, or you will destroy yourself. If you need professional help to go get rid of stress, you need to do that, because the business will destroy you. It will ruin your health if you don't have a way to get rid of stress and you know how to manage it. So in summary, stress management is about managing it, identifying it, and not letting it destroy you. So again, just something different to talk about here, because we're all under stress. And I just wanted to talk about my stress and what ended up happening with it, and end up being a very successful dealer, and what happened with business failure. So that's it. Again, my name is Jim Swetman. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you need any help at all with running your business and talking about the stress that you're in and running your standby power dealer, be sure to get a hold of me, Jim at poweralliance.com. And you can get a hold of me by that, or you can always take a look at our website and we can help you out. Thank you for tuning in to the Standby Generator Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share. For more resources, tips, and to connect with other like-minded professionals, visit us at poweralliance.com or visit our social media pages. Until next time, keep powering up your business.